A pleasant good evening and welcome to Antamarino Stadium on the campus of Gateway High School in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, as the Gateway Gators host the Franklin Regional Panthers in a WPIAL 5A Big East Conference matchup to lift the lid on the 2020 football season. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo on the call for you here on NFHS and the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Good to have you along with us for our maiden voyage here on the Gateway Football Network. We're going to start off with the Gateway Gators, the defending WPIAL champs. A season ago, 12-3 Vince, 5-1 in Big East Conference play. Their lone loss coming to Penn Trafford. Lost in the PIAA semifinals a season ago. Meanwhile, Franklin Regional 4-5 last year, and they lost all but one of their final games after going 3-0 to begin the season.
Yeah, it was their first losing season since 2004, so looking to bounce back this year. But the Gators, a lot of people writing, have maybe gotten better from last year, bring back a lot of talent, a lot of experience, and so they are one of the odds-on favorites. I know we'll talk about it later tonight, but ranked number 2 in 5A coming into this season.
Yeah, lots of talent on this Gateway team, who has won 2 of the last 3 WPIAL titles, went to the state finals in 2018, and as I said, lost in the semifinals a year ago. Franklin Regional, across the field, they wear their home white, or their road whites rather, with the gold pants and gold helmets. The Gateway Gators on the near side, all black uniforms, black jerseys, black pants, and the black helmets with Gators in cursive on both sides of their helmets. And we are underway in Monroeville, PA, as the ball will carry all the way back down towards the 1-yard line and then brought out of the end zone by the Gators return man. A crease over to the near side, still on his feet, and finally dragged down as he crosses the 30 out to the 32-yard line. Derek Davis on the return for the Gateway Gators, and right away we see one of those big-time players for Gateway.
Yeah, Davis, arguably the biggest name right now in the WPIAL. Over 3 dozen offers just this summer. He trimmed his list down to 7, and so in the running to land this talented prospect, you got Pitt, Penn State, Georgia, LSU, Clemson, University of Southern California, and Ohio State. So clearly very sought after, ironically, to play DB, although he amassed over 2,000 total yards on offense last year at running back.
Well, the question is answered at least for play number 1 of the 2020 season. Anglica will be the starting quarterback, and the handoff goes to Davis, who runs from right to left, crosses the 40, close to first down yardage before he's finally banged around and brought down. Pickup of about 10 yards on the play, brings up second and a very short one.
First down, 10.
Obviously a very, very strange atmosphere, very few fans in the stands. Of course, the mitigation for COVID prevalent in everyone's mind is this time Anglica is going to carry it himself. He pulled it out of the belly of Davis and then cut up off of left tackle and drove his way forward from the 43 out towards the 48-yard line. Pickup of a handful. And after a quick assessment, that previous play by Davis was a first down. Now it's 2nd down and 5. Offset pistol, option to the near side right, pitch to Davis. He bobbles the football, drops it down onto the turf and has to retreat. And he is finally on top of the football as Reprimand brings him down way back at the 35-yard line. They're going to mark this football, or is it the 36? They'll finally spot it at the 35, and a big loss on that play of about 13 brings up 3rd down and long.
I was just going to talk about how running that option, that read option, so dangerous when you've got Davis back there. The defense's tendency is to key in on that playmaker and a nice quarterback keeper, but that's what happens when the option is run the wrong way.
Trips left, 2 receivers to the near side right. Anglica throws. Wide open. Passes caught. Price into the end zone for a Gateway touchdown covering 65 yards. So the first time the Gators go to the air this season, it's a big touchdown.
Yeah, just simple pass and catch there. Price able to get a ton of separation there. Must have been either a great route or a miscommunication on the defensive side of the ball. See what we see here on a potential replay, but my goodness, a nice ball thrown there by the new quarterback taking over. And that's 6 here early.
Jason Jenkins on to attempt the PAT. Low snap with the hold down, and the PAT is up and in. And just under 2 minutes played, and it's already Gateway 7 and the Franklin Regional Panthers 0. Let's send it down to the field. Rick McIntyre joining us from field level. Good to have him back on the call for us here. And Rick, what were you able to see on that passing play?
The passing play, I think, was set up really nicely by the previous plays before that with that run option that they run so nicely. What that tends to do to the defense is kind of suck them safeties up a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. And when they did that in that cover 2 look, found the seam right down the middle for Price, and he had nobody near him when he caught that ball.
Thank you very much, Rick. Also want to thank Rick for being instrumental in bringing us these broadcasts here on our coverage of Gateway all season long on the Trib Live High School Sports Network and NFHS. And as Rick said, great runs by the Gators, setting up that big pass play.
This is a Gators team that averaged last season just over 31 points a game. Franklin Regional doesn't want to fall behind early. They only were able to get about 20 a game. Not a team that played that well from behind early on.
Downs and Sarnick are back to receive.
Sun setting in our faces here in the eastern suburbs of Pittsburgh as the kick by Jenkins will carry just shy of the 10-yard line. On the return for the Panthers is Brandon Zanato, and Zanato finds a crease and carries it out across the 40, and it's finally brought down out near the 45-yard line. They'll mark him down at the 43, where a host of black jerseys finally caught up to him. So Franklin Regional going to start in good field position here, Vince.
Yeah, great second effort there to shake off the first would-be tackler and set the offense up in a nice little flip of momentum there. You give up a touchdown on 3rd and long, which always stings, but great job by the return team to set up that lane, and they were able to get it all the way up to around the 30-35 before there was ever any contact.
Shotgun formation, sidecar to the left-hand side of the Franklin Regional quarterback, and the ball's going to go up the gut. Zanato on the carry after returning the kick, picks up 5 quick yards. Make it 6 out to the 49-yard line, where it brings up 2nd down and 4. Colton Johns, the quarterback for Gateway, the 6'2 senior.
Johns last year was one of the primary ball carriers for Franklin Regional. He takes a step back to play quarterback. We'll see if they switch.
I misspoke there. Trevor Brinsick is the QB. Number 13, not 2. As number 2, Colton Johns is the ball carrier that time. Gets stacked up right near the line of scrimmage. Shoves his way forward for some forward momentum. Jaden Hurd on the tackle for the Gateway Gators.
John stepping into that lead ball carrier role. Only had 40 carries last year, a couple touchdowns on the season. Averaged about 6 yards a carry. As for the quarterback, Trevor Brinsick, 78, 154, just 22 yards shy of 1,000 on the season. Had 7 touchdowns, but threw 8 interceptions. And coaching staff, when interviewed earlier this week in the Trib Live High School Sports Network, said that he got rattled at times last season, so it'll be interesting down 7-0 here early to see how he performs in this first drive of the season.
Straight pistol formation as Brinsick takes the snap. A false start is whistled against the Panthers, and that's going to push them back 5 yards. So instead of 3rd down and 3 from midfield, it's going to be 3rd down and 8 from the 45.
And those are killers because on a 3rd and 3, you've got options. You can try and run the ball. You can try and go to the air. You can keep that defense sort of on their heels, but now the defensive line's gearing up to get into the backfield because they know more than likely this is going to be a pass play upcoming.
Two receivers split to the left-hand side, one to the far boundary right, a wing to the left. Now motions to a slot on that left-hand side as there's a sidecar to the left of the quarterback, Brinsick. And whistles blow before the snap. And the officials are going to sort things out here as our umpire talks to our referee. Inadvertent whistle is what the official said. So that brings up 3rd down and 8 again for Franklin Regional, and they have to change the play because the play started a bit right as the whistle blew. Again, we see trips to the left, one to the far side right. Brinsick rolling to his right, has some protection, steps up, throws to that far boundary. Pass caught over on that far sideline. Hauling it in for Franklin Regional, Gambrandella, I believe.
The receiver's got to keep his head on a swivel there, know where the sticks are. He was right around it, but had to come back for the ball. Clearly a lot of pressure here. You see the blitz on, a smart blitz called, and so the quarterback rolling out to the right just had to get rid of it quickly.
Rolling to the right, and the pass deflected and incomplete on 4th down and 2. Breaking on the pass, Derek Davis. Turnover on downs, but there is a flag down.
It looks like it is against Franklin Regional. Looked like there was a little bit of movement early as you see the coaching staff for the Gators waving to decline it so that it will be a turnover on downs. And so bend but don't break. That's always the philosophy on defense.
So the TOD after the PBU by Derek Davis, and Gateway has the ball with great field position for their second opportunity with the ball, up 7-0 with 7:49 to play here in quarter number 1.
Be interesting to see if they use the run to set up the pass again, or perhaps try and get a quick lead here with another pass down the field quickly.
So flags before the snap, and the officials discuss things, and it's a false start against Gateway. So instead of 1st and 10, it's going to be 1st and 15.
Illegal procedure against the Gators. 5-yard penalty.
So 1st and 15, handoff. It's Davis up the middle, has some room inside of the 40, still on his feet to the 30-yard line, and finally hauled down as he approaches the far numbers. Open field tackle by Mario Sarnick, and if Sarnick doesn't make that stop, it may be a TD for the Gators.
Yeah, such a valuable weapon to have on offense, and just a simple handoff right over the left side. And that never want to get too cute with things as an offensive coordinator when you have an option like that. Certainly makes game planning a lot easier.
Trips right, one receiver to the left, play action. And Gleika throws to the near side right. Shamor Price on the reception, leaps over a Panther, and he will saunter down the boundary and into the end zone for a Gateway touchdown, and the Gators go to the air again and take it to the house.
Yeah, it looked like that might net a loss there for a second, but you see Price sort of hesitate, freeze the defenders, and then just uses that breakaway speed along the sidelines.
Well, let's send it down to the sidelines. Rick McIntyre, you had a great view of the moves by Shamar Price down the near boundary.
Absolutely. That was astounding to watch from that close as we see the kick going up. Yeah, 2 times I thought, he's done. And that last move just dropped the defender right to his knees, and he had all the room in the world to run. Really an amazing move.
And the Gateway Gators now on top of the Franklin Regional Panthers, 14-0 with 7:11 to play here in quarter number 1. And boy, this Gateway team so far looking as advertisements.
Absolutely. Just as you want to do it, come out, get into a rhythm early, find yourself into the end zone twice, and get the ball into the hands of your playmakers. And so, both of the passing touchdowns were relatively easy throws and catches, and so far so good, just how you want to write it up if you're the Gators.
Well, we have an opportunity here. Of course, we want to recognize that today is September 11th, the 19th anniversary of the terror attacks to our nation, and we want to remember all of those victims of the September 11th attacks, both in New York and Washington, D.C., and not that far from here in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Of course, the families of all those that still mourn are in our thoughts and prayers. We'll send it down to the field. Gateway kicking off on top 14-0 on the Franklin Regional Panthers.
See if they're able to get a little more carry on this one. See if the kickoff team can get down there quickly. The last one hung up right at around the 10-yard line. And it was a low-line drive, allowed the return team to take it up close to the 45-yard line, get some good field position.
Ball set on the right hash is the kick by Jenkins. This time carries inside of the 5, where it'll be returned again by Zanato. And Zanato this time is hemmed in and brought down by a gang of Gators, including Yusuf Mendoza.
Yeah, I'm sure they got an earful on the sidelines because that was much better that time. They got down the field quickly, much better kick. Just overall, much better execution by the kicking team. Look at all those black jerseys swarming to the ball. And return man wasn't able to get it up over the 10-yard line before he had all of that in his face.
First and 10 for Franklin Regional, their second possession of the football game, this time starting on the right hash near the 18-yard line. Franklin Regional starting this drive in the pistol with a wing to the right. Handoff coming to the near side right. The ball carrier is Colton Johns, and Johns is met after a 2-yard gain, then driven back. Several Gators involved on the tackle, including Hardin Gage, also in on the stop. Jacques Taylor.
For as good as this offense for the Gators has been thus far and how successful it was last year, the defense is really what a lot of people have been talking about. They allowed only 13.5 points per game, had 4 shutouts last season. They shut out the Panthers last season 31-0. And so far they've been stifling. See if the Panthers can't get anything going here on 2nd and long.
Shotgun this time, 2 receivers right, wing to the left, motions and settles to the right-hand side, leaving 1 receiver to the near side right. Quarterback going to run right. Brinsick has a crease, and he will finally be tripped up as he crosses the 40-yard line out to the 41. Open field tackle by the Gators, Bonzi Parks, and if it's not for Parks, it may be a Gateway or a Franklin Regional touchdown.
Yeah, there was a lot of green space there. That was a nice job to break down and not miss. And look there, the defensive end just sort of biting for the potential pitch there. Thought the quarterback might give the ball up, but a nice job to keep it there and find the running room.
Trips left, 1 receiver to the far side right. Handoff will go up the middle as Brinsick hands it off. The ball carrier, Colton Johns,
over the middle.
stacked up after a 1-yard gain.
Down. Second down.
Hunter Dow on the tackle. 6'2 junior, 2-way lineman. Plays on that left defensive end spot.
Yeah, a lot of size and a lot of height for Gateway there in the trenches. And good experience, too.
Brinsick in the shotgun with twins to either side and a sidecar to his left on 2nd down and 9 from the 42. Motion man brings trips to the left of the formation. Brinsick rolls left, throws left, breaking on the pass and breaking it up, and nearly with an opportunity to take the INT was Bonzi Parks, but instead it'll fall incomplete to the turf, and that brings up 3rd down and 9.
And Parks would have had a lot of running room himself there. That would have been an easy pick 6, but nonetheless a nice pass deflection to force 3rd and long. So far, these DBs for the Gators have had a nice break on the ball, good eyes for the ball, and that's a defensive backfield that was highly touted coming into this season. So far, they have made life very, very hard for the Panthers offense.
Play called in from the far sideline. Head coach Greg Botta calls the plays for Franklin Regional. Shotgun with sidecars to either side as Brinsick runs to the right, then hands it off to the big fullback, Luke Reppermond. And Reppermond carries it out to the 45 before He's banged around and brought down to the turf. That'll bring up 4th down and 6 for Franklin Regional. Last time Franklin Regional had 4th and intermediate near midfield. They went for it, and the PBU led to the turnover on downs, which led to Gateway's second score. This time Franklin Regional going to keep their, or rather bring their punt unit out where Brinsick punts it away.
Interesting here in the first game of the season, Panthers learning a new offense with almost a completely new offensive line.
Brinsick spiraling punt, a very pretty punt that'll carry down to the 11-yard line where it'll be returned by Patrick Bodie Jr. And Bodie is brought down as he retreats back to around the 6-yard line. A couple of Panthers in on the stop, including Jeffrey Downs, the 6'1 senior.
Oh, yeah, that was a beauty. You love that hang time, especially down towards the end zone. Allows your coverage team to get down there and pin them deep, and nothing really going there for the Gators, and so they'll have a long way to march, but they've been cutting through this defense like a hot knife through butter thus far.
Long field this time for Gateway after great field position on their second possession. Started the game right around the 30. Ball on the left hash to start the third drive for the Gateway Gators. Gators go to the air again, as this time Anglica will find Shamar Price again.
If it's there, keep going to it. Price has been an incredibly steady option. They have not found any answers for him on the defensive side of the ball. He's getting great separation. And you look, once again, no one really within 5 yards of him. Both of the safeties playing well off. And so he settles right in the middle there, makes the catch. Nice gain.
2 receivers right, and the Gators will go to the ground, and it's Derek Davis, the ball carrier. Slides through the first wave of tacklers, drives his way out across the 30, and will be brought down at the 31-yard line. And on the tackle for Franklin Regional, Dylan Llewellyn, amongst others.
Made the first couple miss. You see here, the Panthers are going to have to really focus on gang tackling and really rushing to the ball, because you see there just 1 or 2 guys not going to do it. He keeps those legs moving, which is pivotal for a running back.
Trips left, 1 receiver right, low snap for Anglica, but he's able to gather it in. Wide open down the right hash. The pass is caught by Patrick Bodie, and he will take it to the house. And again, Gateway goes to the air, and they take it to the end zone.
Rule number 1 is a free safety. You can't let anyone behind you, and that's the 3rd time today that defensive backfield for the Panthers has just fallen asleep, and this time it's Bodie, and again you see just such separation, at least 5 yards away from the nearest defensive back, and Gateway showing speed early in this season, winning all of these foot races, not even close.
So on for the PAT. Again is Jason Jenkins getting a lot of work early on here. 2:50 to play in quarter number 1, and Gateway's already on top, 20-0. Snap bobbled, and the holder was able to get it down. Nice job by Parks to get that down onto the turf, and the kick up and in for Jenkins. And the Gators up 21-0. So Gateway lifting the lid on the 2020 season tonight on September 11th against the Franklin Regional Panthers. Week 2 non-conference game against the Bethel Park Blackhawks before hitting the road to take on the Pine Richland Rams. 2 non-conference games in a row before traveling to Latrobe on October 2nd. The Gators will take on the Penn Trafford Warriors on homecoming on October 9th. Then at Woodland Hills, they travel just down the road to nearby new and old rival Woody High before finishing off the season at Connellsville. And I'll tell you what, if you're a Monroeville resident or an eastern suburban resident, you've got to be pleased with the fact that Woodland Hills and Gateway are back in the same conference. Those old rivals from years ago, back in 1987, when the Wolverine was packed with 12,000 people the first time those teams met. to have these two teams back in the same conference really does wonders for the Eastern Suburban football.
Well, when the WPIAL looked at realignment, that was one of the things that they focused on when they proposed two different proposals. And the one, which they ended up adopting, the current format, really stressed bringing back some of those geographical rivalries, which are so great for this region, so great for these communities, and great for these school districts. It brings people out. They don't have to travel far, and they get to see, these local rivalries and rekindle those rivalries. It's great.
Jenkins kicks this one off, and again it will carry this time into the end zone. So on 3 kickoffs, Jenkins goes just inside the 10, just inside the 5, and this time into the end zone. So a touchback's going to set Franklin Regional up right around the 20-yard line. Nice night here for high school football to start the 2020 season. 70 degrees, mostly clear skies as the sun sets to our west directly over downtown Pittsburgh. Little humid. It's been humid a good bit this week here in southwestern PA. Light winds, and as you can see, the sun setting momentarily. Just about 10 minutes from now, it will be beyond the horizon and out of our eyes.
And should make it cool down just a little bit more, which will be interesting. Sometimes in these early season games, we see the season get pushed back a little bit. It gets really hot out. You see cramping, but a little cooler tonight. Players might be able to stay on their feet a little more.
Yeah, the season starting about 3 weeks later than usual probably helps matters out a good bit. You had heat acclimation and lots of opportunity for conditioning between when players were able to start conditioning again until today. Is on first down. Franklin Regional goes to the air, and Brinsick's pass is incomplete as Jacques Taylor puts the pressure on the quarterback, Brinsick.
Yeah, someone missed an assignment there. See, Taylor came through without being touched, really. So quarterback just had to get rid of that one quickly. It'll be interesting to see if they continue to go to the air. This is a Panthers offense that brings back 4 of their top targets from last season through the air.
Brinsick feigns the pass going to his right and then hands off, coming back to the left-hand side. The ball carrier is Colton Johns, and Johns is muscled to the turf by a host of black jerseys crossing the 20 to the 21-yard line. Chuck Taylor amongst the black jerseys in on the stop.
See, even a little bit of a hold there. Still able to get through and wreak some havoc there.
Jaden Hurt also in on the stop for the Gateway Gators. Brinsick shotgun, sidecar to his left, trips left, one receiver to the near side right. Play action, pumps, tries to tuck and run, but the nose tackle, Patrick Bauman, knifing through traffic and making the stop. Also in on the stop for Gateway is Hunter Dow, who's slow to get to his feet, but helped by his fellow defensive lineman. So it looked like Dow may have gotten hit in a very uncomfortable place in the midst of that tackle.
Yeah, almost like this Gators defensive line is playing the game downhill. They've just been getting through the floodgates opening up, and first sack of the evening. You could tell that was coming. They've gotten great pressure here early on.
Good snap as Brinsick gets the punt away. A spiraling punt, which will be returned by Bodie. Bodie slides past one tackler inside of the 50, and then he is brought down at around the 47-yard line by Garrett Deller. And that'll bring up first down and 10 for the Gateway Gators.
Yeah, bobbled that one a little bit there. Good job by Bodie to focus and make sure that one didn't hit the turf. You've really got the Panthers close to down and out. If you're able to get 6 more on the board here, really could start to put this one away here before we even get into the second quarter. But you fumble there, and you give the Panthers good field position on the wrong side of the field. All of a sudden, gives them a ton of momentum. They've got nothing right now.
Shotgun formation, wing to the left, kind of a fullback who crabs to the right as he will lead the way for Derek Davis, who wiggles his way forward inside of the 35 to the 31-yard line before the tackle was finally made by Nolan Cowart.
Good vision there by Davis. Hits the hole hard, hesitates, waits for more to open up, freezes those defenders a little bit.
Gators go to the air, and for the first time today, it's an incomplete pass for Gateway. 3 passes, 3 touchdowns thus far for the Gators.
Yeah, and Glique stepping up. Last season, you know, he had to sit behind another talented quarterback as they had Bryson Venanzio, who amassed over 2,600 yards and 27 touchdowns. He went 5 for 9 last season, had 1 passing touchdown, but now 3 already on the young season.
Again, Gateway goes to the air, but this time the pass deflected, and the incomplete pass brings up 3rd down and 10 at the 31-yard line.
I think the only other time they had a 3rd down tonight was when they tossed that first long touchdown to Price. So far they've worked well under the circumstances of 3rd and long.
2 receivers left, 1 to the near side right. Sidecar to the left-hand side of Englique. Handoff Davis. Has a crease inside of the 25. He's got the 1st down and more. Inside of the 15 and finally wrestled to the boundary and around the 10-yard line. Tackle on the play by Brandon Zanato.
You can see the frustration there. He thought he had the opportunity to hit pay dirt there. Good leading block there by the fullback. He's able to get around. Let's see. DB's just able to get away from the block there at the last second.
Two receivers split left, 1 to the near side right. Davis takes the handoff, bounces off of tacklers, cuts to the far boundary left, still on his feet as he tries to turn the quarter at the 5, but loses an edge and falls down inside of the 5 at around the 4-yard line. And a touchdown-saving tackle there by Jeffrey Downs of the Franklin Regional Panthers.
Yeah, really good open field tackle there. You know, a lot of hype around Davis. Sometimes when you play players like that, they seem a little larger than life, but Downs up for the challenge is able to swat away the stiff arm attempt. Good form tackle there, is able to wrap up and make sure he gets him to the ground.
Well, that is the end of quarter number 1, and Gateway right now blanking the Franklin Regional Panthers 21-0 through 12 minutes of football. Vince and I are going to take a breather, and when we return, it'll be the second quarter. It's Gateway and Franklin Regional on NFHS and the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
Second down for the Gators.
Here, is he? That scares me, though.
Set to begin quarter number 2. It is 2nd down and goal for Gateway at the 4-yard line. Englique. Play action, and whistles blow prior to the snap.
Offside.
So encroachment by Franklin Regional, and that is going to push Gateway half the distance to the goal line, Vince.
Half the distance to the goal.
Yeah, I was going to say for a second, good thing that ball got batted, good thing it didn't get through, because Downs had really good coverage on that, but being that it was outsides wouldn't have mattered anyway. So it'll be interesting to see here. They try and go to the air again or just pound Davis up the middle.
Low snap, Englique has to scoop it up. He'll toss it into double coverage over there on that far side of the end zone. The pass intended for Diego Bledsoe, but 2 white jerseys were there, and Englique I guess, did his best to make sure that if Bledsoe didn't catch it, nobody did.
Yeah, he put it in a good spot. Not sure if that was by design or not, but yeah, it looked for a second there like that one might be dangerous and potentially going the other way.
Clock stopped, 11:54 to play here in quarter number 2. Gateway on top of Franklin Regional, 21-0. Gators in great position here, 3rd down and goal, just shy of the 2. Davis settles on the right-hand side of Anglique. Anglique hands off. Davis slides his way past one tackler and will lean the ball across the goal line for a Gateway touchdown, much to the chagrin of defensive lineman Nolan Coart. But the official says it's a TD, and it will be Gateway on top, 27-0.
And take a look, see if he's able to get that ball across. I mean, remember, that's really all that needs to get in there, and it looks like he extends the arm for just a second. You know, give credit. That's a nice tackle there to stop him right at the line, but at that point, looked like he was already at the point where he needed to be.
Yeah, it looked like right before Coart got there to make the stop, Davis kind of pushed that ball across the goal line just for a second, and that was enough for the Gateway TD. And the PAT up and in by Jenkins, and Gateway on top of Franklin Regional, 28-0. 10 seconds, make it 11 seconds into quarter number 2. We're going to send it down to the sideline. Rick McIntyre, it looks like Gateway's offense hitting on all cylinders right now.
Oh, absolutely, and the defense is taking suit right beside them as well. The defense is stifling. The offense seems to be unstoppable right now. The really strange thing is the noise level. Like right now, the band, cheerleaders, everybody stopped. When the play's on the field with this type of atmosphere, you can hear every word. You can hear the coaches yelling out instructions to the field. It's a really different kind of environment down here right now.
Yeah, I noticed how strange it was earlier when the official said inadvertent whistle. We were able to pick that up on our crowd microphone way up here on the 3rd story of the press box, and we're a good, horizontally 20 yards from the field, maybe more. Great vantage point here at Gateway, and it's good to have you along with us here as we start our maiden voyage covering Gateway football here on NFHS and the Trib Live High School Sports Network, as well as on our Monroeville Cable Access affiliates, Verizon Fios Channel 44 and Monroeville Comcast Channel 13. This kick carries back inside of the end zone, where it's hauled in by Jeffrey Downs, and it'll be 1st and 10 for the Panthers at the 20. And a flag flies late. To check in with the officials and see what that flag is about. Officials still talking things over, and we got the call now. Illegal block in the back. And that'll go against Franklin Regional. And that's got to be an unfortunate thing, an illegal block in the back on a touchback, a ball that was clearly headed towards the end zone if you watched it go over your head out there on the field. And instead of 1st down and 10 from the 20, it's 1st and 10 from the 10 now. So a longer field for the Panthers.
And certainly the Panthers didn't need any more adversity than what they're already facing, down 28 points. But those are, mental errors, frustration errors. The game hasn't started, the season hasn't started exactly how you wanted, and you just got to avoid letting that take over and warp your mindset. You got to stay focused and present in the moment, or else you put yourself in situations like these.
Trips to the left for the Panthers, one receiver to the near side, right side car to the left as well. Driving his way forward after catching the pass, Mario Sarnik. And Sarnik is brought down, crossing the 15 out to the 16-yard line. And that'll bring up 2nd down and 4 for the Gateway Gators. Or for the Franklin Regional Panthers, rather.
Sarnik coming off of a season of 13 catches, 144 yards, and 1 touchdown last season. They've got a couple receivers that have some deep play ability. Jermaine Turner averaged 17.3 yards per catch. Brandon Zanata, 17.2. See if they get either of them involved as they try and work themselves out of this hole back at their own 16-yard line.
Franklin Regional takes the ball to the far side where Brandon Zanato is the ball carrier, and he is brought down by a host of Gators, including Jaden Hurt on the tackle, who is shaken up, favoring his right arm, and will come to the near sideline and have to be subbed out.
Third down, 2.
So third down and 2 for Franklin Regional.
Yeah, manageable here. Good job with the pitch, smart decision, and they've been getting that ball forward. Zanato's running hard, just not a whole lot of holes to run through within that offensive line. He's been running for his life.
Brenzick this time pulled the ball out of the belly of the tailback, Zanato, and didn't have anywhere to go because the nose tackle, Kelvin Nelson, was there to make this stop. 3 yards deep in the backfield, and the ball's pushed back to the 15, bringing up 4th down and 5.
And you're seeing why those battles in the trenches are just so valuable when it comes to football. So often we get enamored with skill position players and what they're able to do in open space, but oftentimes plays don't work whatsoever unless you've got that push on the offensive line. And credit to Gateway, they've been dominating right at the line.
Snap to Brinsick for the punt, and he will get this spiraling punt away where Bodie will have the return for Gateway, and he's met immediately after catching the football.
Bodie taking the
Tackle
punt.
on the play for the Gators, or rather for the Panthers, by Caden Smith.
Stop by Smith.
And again, good field position for Gateway, this time starting 1st and 10 at their own 45-yard
And
line.
Geller.
Surprised that he didn't call a fair catch there. Well, a couple Panthers right there on him as soon as he caught it. Good thing he's been sure-handed tonight.
45.
He got walloped as soon as he caught that one.
.9:35 to play, second quarter. Folks listening on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, the score Gateway 28, Franklin Regional 0. 2 receivers right, 2 to the near side left. Sidecar to the left-hand side of Englique. Pulls it out of the belly of Davis, throws to the near side right where the pass is complete to Hardin Gage. And Gage picks up enough for a Gateway first down to the 42-yard line.
To Hardin Gage.
And it's 1st and 10 for
Stop by down.
the Gateway Gators at the Franklin Regional 42-yard line.
For the Gators.
And
Getting word from the sideline that Gators' Jaden Hurt will return to the lineup. Just a abrasion to the elbow. They patch him up and don't get him back in the lineup.
It's good news on the defensive side of the ball. He's really been stifling thus far. He's one of those players they're going to count on heavily this season.
Englique, play action, looked to the right-hand side, saw pressure over on that right-hand side, and ended up tucking and running just to get back to the line of scrimmage, where he's met by a couple of white jerseys. Pelusi, amongst others, in on the tackle. Josh Pelusi, 6 foot, 315-pound junior defensive tackle.
You know, that's not a bad play. It's not a bad decision. You're up 28 points. The last thing you want to do is try and force a ball into a tight window or have it batted at the line of scrimmage or batted up into the air so it's a lame duck. Take getting back to the line of scrimmage, live for another play.
Handoff, Davis had a crease for a moment, but it closed quickly. And closing that crease was Patrick McMillan,
Davis.
linebacker for the Franklin Regional Panthers.
Stop
Keeping the
by
gain at just 1 for Davis, and it's 3rd down and 9 for the Gators at the 41-yard line.
Especially when you think of, you have not allowed any signs of life from the Panthers offense on the defensive side of the ball. And so being conservative, taking care of the ball, and limiting the opportunities for mistakes to happen is one of the smartest things you can do right here if you're the Gators.
Englique pulls it out of the belly of Davis, looks left the whole way, and then throws it across the middle. The pass intended for Shamar Price. And Price covered on the play by
fourth down.
Patrick McMillan, who's looking for the flag, but no flag flies. And that brings up 4th down and 9, and it's decision time for Don Hall.
It did
Hall, the
look,
5th-year head coach for Gateway.
Yeah, it did look like McMillan got in there just a little bit early, but the ball was thrown so high, you could argue it really wasn't catchable, and it wasn't egregious contact, so kind of like the no call there. Looks like they're going to go for it here on 4th down.
Signals being called in couple of red hats as well as Don Hall calling signals as Anglike straight drop back on 4th down and 9. Looks to his right, throws to his right. It's caught. Enough for the first down by Shane Thrift as he brings it across the 35 and steps out of bounds at the 30-yard line.
Yeah, really good execution there. You know, they've been throwing the ball downfield. You see a nice route here. Smith is just going to cut short out route, just sort of trail off towards the sidelines. He gets forgotten over there as the Panthers are expecting a throw downfield, and they got just enough and a few yards more for the first down.
Trips left, one receiver to the far side right. Handoff. Davis inside of the 20, spun down as he takes it to around the 17-yard line.
Stop by 5.
Nice open field tackle by Brandon Zanato.
That's another
Again,
Gator
good
first
work
down.
by the guys up front.
At the 17.
See a nice, huge hole there. And just some breakaway speed.
Trips left again, one receiver to the right. Engelke looks right, throws right, and the pass intended on that far sideline for Bodie is incomplete. And that brings up 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, it looked like a timing route there that was just a little bit off. Some miscommunication there between Anglike and Bodie. Bodie didn't even get his head around before that one hit the turf.
Three receivers to the near side left, one to the far boundary right. Miscommunication on first down brings up 2nd down and 10. Play action as the pass comes to the near side left, and the pass is complete to Price, and Price cuts around defenders and takes it into the end zone for his 3rd touchdown of the game.
And the 4th for Anglike. And, you know, you keep it simple. Talked about earlier, when you've got these weapons, you've got these athletes. The name of the game in offense is get the ball into the hands of your playmakers in open space. Just a short little dump out into the flats. You get a good block there on the outside. And that's pay dirt. Shane Thrift able to spring Price to the end zone. This one's starting to get a little ugly here.
Parks will hold. Jason Jenkins.
It's 34-0 already. And Jenkins on to attempt the PAT, which can make it 35. And that point after touchdown is up, and it is good. And with 6:53 to play in quarter number 2, it is already Gateway 35, Franklin Regional 0. You know, Vince, we had we mentioned fifth-year head coach Don Hall of the Gateway Gators, and he came here a couple of seasons back. And back in 2016, he really got Gateway over the hump. There were a lot of times where Gateway was the bridesmaid but not the bride, and over the last 3 seasons, they've certainly become the bride.
Yeah, 12-4 in the playoffs since they went to a 6 classification look here in the WPIAL, and he's been nothing but consistent, and Shirley has had a lot of talent to work with, but talent only gets you so far. Gateway's had it for years, and it's been great to see him be able to break through and finally bring some titles here to Monroeville.
And a lot of keys with talent is you've got to be able to take talent and you've got to get them to work together, and that's what Don Hall seems to have been able to do better than anybody that's been at Gateway in a very long time.
Yeah, you look, really almost no penalties against the team tonight for the first game of the season. They're in sync. You know, none of those delay of game or procedural penalties, those little things that can really nip at good teams. But great teams are the ones that are able to get things in place, be disciplined, and they've done that thus far tonight.
I want to thank you for joining us here on NFHS and the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Coverage of our games will be on every week here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, and all home games will be live on NFHS. Of course, we will have coverage on our cable television affiliates as well.
See if the Panthers can't get a nice return here. That was really the one thing that's gone well for them tonight, is this one's able to be fielded. And a nice return the first time around, but Gators have just really honed in on that, not even up past the 15 this time.
Again, it's Zanato on the return for the Franklin Regional Panthers, and other than his first return where he took it from the near side left just inside the 10 out across the 40, the Gateway coverage team has been all over him. The Gateway defense has been all over the Panthers, and quite frankly, the Gateway offense has been hitting on all cylinders.
And this is where the game becomes, it's always very mental, but when you're in a situation like this, it becomes extremely mental. You got to get out of your own head. You've got to be able to focus on just one play at a time. You're not going to gain 35 points back on one play, but you can start to get some things in motion here. And let's not forget, it's first game of the season. New offense here for the Panthers, almost an entirely new offensive line. A lot of moving parts here, as opposed to a Gateway defense that brings back a lot of experience.
Quarterback Trevor Brinsick, off of play action, ducked the first round of tacklers, but couldn't escape the second wave of black jerseys. Tackle on the play by Kelvin Nelson, amongst others.
Calvin Nelson. Second down.
So it's now 2nd down and 16 for Franklin Regional.
17.
Blitz coming from the backside by Hardin Gage. Flushed Brinsick from the pocket. And Gage ended up catching up to the quarterback Brinsick and helping Nelson out on the tackle. Clock winds, 6 minutes to play here in the second quarter. Gateway up 35-zip on Franklin Regional. Brinsick rolling to his left-hand side. Has some open receivers, but he is pressured. Eludes the first wave of Gators, including Kelvin Nelson. Then he's finally brought down out across the 15 towards the 17-yard line.
Stopped by 12.
Yeah, he saw a lot of green space right in front of him and pulled the ball down and ran with it. But that evaporated quickly and he had to cut back inside. Was still able to gain a decent amount of yards on the play overall. But you see there a couple Gators right up in the grill, and he's able to adeptly get away from a few before being hauled down. And so 3rd and somewhat more manageable now, but still a long way to go. Get that first down.
3rd and about 7. The pass complete, and Franklin Regional has the first down. Still on his feet after initial contact is the receiver for the Panthers.
Brinsick's pass.
And that's Mario Sarnik on the reception as he's banged around and finally brought down, as I said, out across the 30, approaching the 34.
They've tried to set that up a few times tonight, that little bubble screen. That's the first time where they've really yielded a pretty positive gain from it. So a little bit of signs of life here. 2 moderately good gains in a row here for the Panthers. See if they can't sustain a little bit of momentum here.
Trips left, 1 receiver to the near side right. Flags fly, and Gateway's going to be guilty of breaching that neutral zone, and that's going to push Franklin Regional forward 5 yards from the 34 to the 39, bringing up 1st down and 5.
Yeah, they'd avoided some of those little mistakes here in game 1 up until this point, but those are killers. Coaches hate those discipline plays, and
1st down, 5.
makes life so much easier. The mindset on a 1st and 5 for this offense that's found a little bit of momentum here can really open things up and do a lot more.
Two receivers left, wing to the left, Crabs to the right, and I think we're going to have a delay of game against the Franklin Regional Panthers. And that is the call. So we go from 1st and 5 back to 1st and 10 for Franklin Regional.
Yeah, and in a game where you've been clawing and fighting for anything, you can't give it back like that right after you get it. Gateway catches a break there. But if you're Franklin Regional, that's just unacceptable. You can't have those little things happen if you want to try and find any momentum, let alone try and get back into a game where you're down 5 scores.
Brinsick sets up the screen and sets it up well as Zanato catches the football and drives his way forward. Picks up at least 9.5 of the 10 yards he needed before being brought down by a few black jerseys.
You can tell he's feeling that one. He got rid of that ball right at the last possible second. He got walloped, but kudos to him for standing in there, delivering the ball, and they're right on the doorstep of getting a 3rd first down here on this drive.
One receiver on the short side left as the ball's on the left hash. Wings to either side, and a receiver split to the wide side right. Sidecar to the right-hand side of Trevor Brinsick. Play action for Brinsick. And some miscommunication as two Panthers collide right near midfield. A flag comes in, and I'm not sure why a flag comes in, as two Panthers ran into each other. The receivers Caden Smith and Garrett Deller were the two that collided.
And they're having a conversation now, see if they wave it off or if something else happened that we maybe saw that didn't see that was away from the play.
Okay, so the official says prior to the pass holding against Gateway's Jaden Hurt.
That'll be a first down.
So Hurt, who returned to the lineup after being shaken up on the Panthers' previous possession, guilty of the holding penalty there prior to the pass, as I said.
It didn't seem like there was a ton, if any, contact there. Not sure exactly what they saw. Nonetheless, that'll move the chains for the Panthers, and they find themselves in Gateway territory now for just the second time tonight.
3:03 to play second quarter. 1st and 10 for Franklin Regional at the 46. Brinsick hands off. The ball carrier Zanato, and Zanato driving his way deeper into Gators greenery. Finally brought down at the 30-yard line. A pickup on that play of 16 yards. A physical run before the ball popped loose, but the officials say before Hurt scooped it up, Zanato was down.
Yeah, really good vision. Watch here as, he tries to take it outside. That lane evaporates. He's able to cut it up into the middle and is able to use that vision to follow his blocker up past the first down marker. Yeah, it did look like his helmet hit the ground. Let's take a look here. Oh, I don't know. Doesn't much matter, no replay, but that one might have hit the ground before he was down.
Panthers go to the ground again.
Brinsick's pass.
Or correction, they go to the air, but the pass is basically a run as Sarnick picks up just a yard from the 30 to the 29.
Down.
Yeah, they really haven't tested these safeties whatsoever for the Gators. Obviously, this defensive backfield is touted as being exceptionally athletic and exceptionally talented, led by Davis back there. But just a lot of short dump-offs, bubble screens. They have yet to really go downfield with the ball.
Two receivers left, one to the near side right. Brinsick in the shotgun with a sidecar to his left-hand side. And again, Gateway's going to be guilty of breaching that neutral zone, and that's going to push Franklin Regional 5 yards forward. So instead of 2nd down and 9, it's going to be 2nd down and 4. And I'm going to send it down to field level. Rick McIntyre, what do you see going on with this Gateway defense on this drive, or this Franklin Regional offense, that we hadn't seen before?
Against the Gators, 5 yards.
I think you're just seeing maybe a little bit of kind of letting off the gas pedal. Obviously, they've had a penalty or two, so a little bit of discipline slipping away. I mean, sometimes you get out to this kind of a big lead early in the first half. It's really easy to lose that kind of sharp focus.
Thank you, Rick, as we're back to live action. A pass to that far sideline, a fade pattern to that far boundary is incomplete.
Incomplete.
And that brings up 3rd down and 4 for Franklin Regional with the ball inside of the 25 at the 24.
Just overthrew that one. Had a little bit of separation there, too. Had the receiver, Sarnick, going down that left sideline, but just a little overthrown there. Missed opportunity for the Panthers to get on the board for the first time.
Two receivers left, wing to the left as well. One receiver to the short side right as the ball favors the right hash. Brinsick in the shotgun. Looks to Zanato, and the ball will carry him off of the hands, then the face mask of Zanato. And that incomplete pass brings up 4th down and 4. And it took quite a while for the official over on that far sideline to blow the whistle and indicate a forward pass, an incomplete forward pass at that. And the incomplete pass brings up 4th and 4, as I said.
See their good awareness on the sidelines. No one touching the ball before it went out of bounds. Yeah, it was a late whistle. You saw a couple Gators take off after it as if it was a live ball. Play to the whistle.
Folks watching on our TV affiliates or watching the stream, Don Hall pacing the sidelines on the near boundary. Played football at the U.S. Naval Academy back in the early to mid-'80s. Fifth year here with the Gators, 45 wins, just 11 losses. What a great record thus far. This pass comes back on the throwback screen. It is complete for Franklin Regional. Catching the ball is Luke Reppermund, but he's not able to pick up much, just a yard on the play. And the turnover on downs forced by the Gators defense leads to a 1st and 10 for the Gators offense at the 23-yard line with 1:17 to play here in the second quarter. Got to wonder, is Don Hall just going to take this 35-point lead to the locker room?
Well, you would think so. Then again, they've had virtually no issues getting down the field quickly. Most of these touchdowns have come on relatively short drives, especially those first 3 passing touchdowns. But you saw the Gators there again. Bend, not break. Defense holds the shutout, and they figured out that bubble screen. They were completely ready for that on 4th down.
Englique hands off. Derek Davis, the ball carrier, running left, wiggling his way forward. Across the 25 to the 28. Pickup of 5 brings up 2nd down and 5 as the clock winds towards the 1-minute mark here in the second quarter.
And not a ton of urgency here, so it looks like they will salt this one away and go in with the 35-point lead. But the one thing with all these playmakers is even just handing it off, always liable for a big play. Well, they're going to go to the air here.
Yeah, Gators do go to the air, and the pass across the middle, in and out of the hands of Shamor Price. Price had found a soft spot in between white jerseys and had some room to run with it had he pulled it down, but instead the 6'2 senior couldn't haul it in. That brings up 3rd down and 5. The clock stops here.
Yeah, he's been so sure-handed tonight. Looked like one of those situations where he was thinking about what he was going to do next before he fully pulled that one in, as it sort of bounced right off of his hands.
Two receivers to either side. Englique running the option, pitches it to the near side left, and Price sidesteps a tackler. He's going to take it all the way for a Gateway touchdown. Taking the pitch from Englique and somehow was able to stay in bounds as he stepped over a Franklin Regional Panther. And Gateway has extended their lead to 41-0 on a 72-yard touchdown for Price.
Yeah, take another look. My goodness. Able to walk the tightrope. A little bit of a forward pitch. I'm not sure if the quarterback was past the line of scrimmage or not. But my goodness, and that breakaway speed, once again, Gateway just has such a surplus of it. It's going to come in handy and already has tonight, but for the rest of the season as well.
Yeah, that forward pitch came shy of the 30-yard line, so it was behind the line of scrimmage, but it will be a touchdown pass again to Price, even though it was a shovel pass at that. And the PAT blocked, and Franklin Regional keeps the Gateway lead at 41-0 with 25 seconds to play here. As you can see, the pitch came right around the 25-yard line, and from our angle, clear that it was a forward pitch, but certainly not in front of the line of scrimmage at that. And that's good news for the Gateway Gators, and good news for the Franklin Regional fans, because that kind of gives them no reason to really get upset about officiating, because these officials, and that was something that a lot of concern was with heading into this 2020 season, was a shortage of officials. There was talk, Vince, about maybe moving some games to Saturdays or Thursday nights just so they had enough officials to play these football games, because quite frankly, a lot of the officials in Western Pennsylvania and around the state are older guys, and a lot of them were afraid of, the threat of COVID.
Yeah, I mean, they were already at such a poor position. Like you said, the officials, the average age of officials is going up, and so already they were getting ready for, in the near future, a shortage, and COVID, like most things, has sort of exacerbated a lot of issues that were starting to bubble to the surface, and this one is no different.
Don't forget, stay tuned here on Gateway Football Broadcast, as we will be covering the Gateway Marching Band's halftime performance, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to bring you the Trib Live High School Sports Network halftime show, where Don Rebel and Chris Harlan will give you some information about the 2020 football season as we head into Week 1, 3 weeks late.
You know, you don't want to dwell on too much of it. Obviously, there's a lot of things that don't feel normal right this second, but I've got to say it feels so good to be able to have football, especially in this region where it's such a way of life for a lot of people, and great for these student athletes to be able to have this for their development and their maturation, and really great to have this sense of normalcy through this game.
Great kick by Jenkins, backing the return man into the end zone for a touchback. It'll be 1st and 10 for Franklin Regional at the 20. And, you know, you mentioned normalcy and all the maturation of these players. One thing that I think sometimes gets lost in scholastic athletics and even at the college level is a lot of times academics are predicated on sports for a lot of these young men. A lot of these young men and women that play high school sports or college sports, they're more invested in their academics because of their athletics, not vice versa. So it gives a lot of young folks an opportunity and a motivation to be invested in their learning.
Well, there's an added infrastructure. There's an added tier of accountability of you know, you talk about teamwork. It doesn't just stay on the field. It's a source of accountability, you know, guys picking each other up in the classroom as well.
One receiver right, 2 to the far side left. Wing on the right, Krabs to the left. Brinsick tucks and runs. And he will be wrapped in the open field. Tackle made by Diego Bledsoe, 5'10", 230-pound senior linebacker. Clock stops as they say Brinsick got to the boundary.
They're starting to get a little bit of momentum with this running game here. They stalled out, weren't able to convert that 4th down the last time after Gateway figured out the bubble screens, but Brinsick's been able to do a good job of reading the defense, pulling that ball down on passing plays and picking up some yards with his feet.
Brinsick runs to the right, pressured from behind by Jacques Taylor as the pass coming to the near side, intended for Sarnik, is incomplete. A couple of Gators on the coverage. And the clock stops again. 12 seconds to go here in the second quarter with Gateway on top of Franklin Regional, 41-0. Gators have really been impressive in all facets of this football game other than one big kickoff return by Franklin Regional and one decent drive by their offense. It's been all Gateway all night long thus far. Franklin Regional goes to the ground here on 3rd down and intermediate. And the ball carrier brought down shy of the line to gain. The ball carrier, Colton Johns. That'll be the final play of quarter number 2. And we will head to the locker room with Gateway on top of Franklin Regional, 41-0. Vince, what's your opinions of the Gators and the Panthers here in half number 1?
Well, I mean, certainly a lopsided contest. Gateway has done just about everything right, and it's not even that Franklin Regional hasn't done everything wrong. It's just so overwhelming. If it's not the size of the Gators down in the trenches, it's the speed of the skill players. And you see, you know, this is a team that brought a lot of talent back in the Gators, and they're not messing around. And I mean, just how you want to draw it up in the first half. Executed on both sides of the ball, special teams as well. Touchbacks, pinning them back. Other than one long kick return, Franklin Regional has really not had hardly any momentum whatsoever.
Once the teams and officials clear the field, we will have our coverage of the Gateway Gators Marching Band halftime show. Thank you for joining us here on NFHS and the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Again, your halftime score, Gateway 41, Franklin Regional 0.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the field the 2020 Gateway High School Marching Band. The marching band this year has worked as hard as ever through difficult times to bring you their 2020 show. Using music from Star Trek and Gustav Holst's suite, The Planets, the Gateway Band is proud to present the first 3 movements of their 2020 show, Orbit. Now, under the field direction of drum majors Rebecca Burns, David Clark, and Ashwarya Krishnamurthy, it's my pleasure to present the 2020 Gateway High School Marching Band. The Gateway Marching Band is under the direction of Mr. James Helchie, with assistance from Mr. Sean McMasters, Mr. Ryan Moser, and Mr. Dave Verno. Color Guard Directors, Mrs. Deb Cosley and Mr. Robert Reed. The Gateway Band would like to thank the Gateway School District Administration, School Board, and the community for their continued support. Thank you.
It's the halftime show on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Welcome to another season. Woo! It's finally here. Kickoff 2020. It's a day that maybe a lot of people didn't think would ever get here. We're happy to be part of it. We're happy to welcome California University of Pennsylvania as a proud sponsor of the halftime shows this year. We are thrilled to have them on board, and we're also thrilled to have my partner, Chris Harlan, on board once again this season. Christopher, welcome to week one.
Hey, it's good to be here. I thought we might be hosting halftime of the cross-country meet or maybe tennis matches this fall. I wasn't always so sure we were going to have a football halftime show, so it feels good to be here in week one for sure.
It certainly does, and kudos again to Chris and the crew here at HSSN for their hard work in getting us to this point. And now the stars of the show are the athletes. We'll talk about some of those athletes, the players to watch around WPIAL football. That's next week. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. So let's focus now here on week one, as we always do. It's a 20-year tradition now of teams to watch in 2020. We'll start in Class A. Chris, we'll start with the Bears.
Yeah, no surprise here. It's Clairton. I mean, they're, again, the favorite. They've won 14 WPL titles, going for title number 15 this year. They've got a few good running backs back. So Class A is theirs. I mean, it's theirs to win, I'll say. But there's some other teams out there that are going to give them a run. Also in our Trib top 5 this year, we've got an upstart Shenango team, Greensburg Central Catholic, Jeanette, and Burgettstown. So there are 4 teams there that are going to see if they can maybe disrupt Clairton from having another title celebration this year.
Yep, and I'll get a chance to see Shenango early on. 3 of those teams you mentioned, Jeanette, Greensburg Central Catholic, and Clairton, all in the Eastern Conference. Up to Class 2A we go. It's been a pretty balanced classification since expansion 4 years ago. You got some teams moving up, but you also have some teams coming down. One of them is at the top of the 2A list.
Yeah, and this is one thing you'll hear a lot this year. There are a lot of teams in new classifications. This is a realignment year. So you've seen a lot of teams move, and unlike a lot of years, you've seen a lot of really good teams move. I think that's what makes this year different than others. The top team in AA this year, Beaver Falls, a team that dropped down from AAA a year earlier. A really good team. They got a big running back, a lot of experience there. But they've got some contenders, some guys who have been in AA for a while. In Washington, McGuffey, Riverview, and Freedom. Those 4 teams round out our Trib top 5 this year. But there's some other teams you look there. How about the Stowe Rocks team that was in the single A finals last year? They're jumping up to 2A this year. I think you should probably keep your eyes on them as well.
Somebody asked me as we move up to 3A, who are the teams you like? And I think that maybe the most heavily favored team coming in any classification might be here in Class 3A.
Yeah, I think you can make that argument definitely for Central Valley, a team that not long ago, they were in the state championship out there in Hershey last year. A heartbreaking loss where they gave up a couple touchdowns at the end. But they've got a lot of guys back from that team, the WPL champs and state runners-up, including quarterback Amir Dudley, nearly a 2,000-yard passer last year. But there are some other guys in 3A, some teams that are going to give them a challenge. North Catholic, always, every year, they're one of their rivals. But Elizabeth Forward, Keystone Oaks, and Derry coming into this year with a new coach, round out our top 5. And also a team to watch, how about Avonworth? They were the WPL champs in 2A last year. They bump up to 3A and lose a lot of guys from that team, but they've got quite a bit back, so they could be in the mix.
We're halfway through our teams to watch. We'll take a look at 4A, 5A, and 6A when the halftime show continues here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
Consider the future. Your future. At California University of Pennsylvania, you can build your life your way because we believe in you. We invest in you, empower you to create the future you envision. We give you the tools and teaching so you can rise up and achieve. Don't settle for someone else's vision of you. Build you at CalU. Visit us at calu.edu.
Again, we thank California University of Pennsylvania, proud sponsor of the halftime show that continues here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Don Rebel and Chris Harlan from the Excella Health Studios. Well, let's talk Class 4A. It all sort of wraps around the defending WPIAL and PIAA champions, another traditional power, Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, it's a tradition this time of year. We ask the question, who can beat Thomas Jefferson? And many years, the answer is nobody. So we'll see if somebody can beat Thomas Jefferson. At least this year, they've got some new challengers in 4A. We've got some teams that moved into the classification. McKeesport, they're in 4A this year, dropped down from 5. Montour's a holdover, but Mars, Aliquippa, both in 4A this year. The Quips, they're an amazing story, a single A team in size, playing up, and now the PIAA moves them all the way up to 4A.
Yeah.
We'll see if they can contend. It'd be interesting to see an Aliquippa-Thomas Jefferson matchup and see how that goes. I don't know if there's any two teams that have had more success in the last couple of decades than Aliquippa and Thomas Jefferson, but here they are, both in 4A this year.
That's for sure. Wow, Class 5A, you did the Class 5A preview for HSSN. That had to be a tough one because it is and has been traditionally over the last 4 years the deepest and the most competitive classification. And with some teams coming down and some teams moving up, that's not going to change here in 2020.
No, these were the hardest rankings for me to put together. Trying to figure out who would be number 1 in 5A. You got the defending champ Gateway back with star Derek Davis in the backfield, but they're not number 1 this year. We gave the number 1 spot to Pine Richland in the preseason polls. They're the runner-up in 6A last year, bring back a good quarterback, bring back a 1,000-yard receiver. So they're number 1, Gateway's number 2. And the list doesn't drop off. You've got Peters Township next, Upper St. Clair, who brings back a dynamic wide receiver quarterback tandem, and Ethan Dahlem and David Pantelis. And then South Fayette. They've won at every level, AA, 4A. Now South Fayette's in 5A this year, and they've got 3 Division I receivers in 5A this year. So you can't count them out either. It's a deep field, and there's probably 3 or 4 more teams you could add to that 5A list also as contenders this year.
6A is going in the other direction. I did the preview for 6A, and I talked about how it's tough to find competitive games, in the classification, not only in the regular season, but in the postseason. It shrinks down to 8 teams with Pine Richland out, with Butler playing an independent schedule. Baldwin does move up from 5A. But, man, it's going to be hard to not pick either Central Catholic or North Allegheny to win in 6A.
Yeah, I agree. It's those two right now are head and shoulders, it looks like, above everybody else. But I wouldn't count out a Mount Lebanon team. They're down the list a little bit. This is Coach Bob Palco's second season. He had a whole bunch, I think it was 14 sophomores he had play last year. Those guys are all juniors this year, so I wouldn't necessarily count out Mount Lebanon when you look at this playoff race and maybe even the title hunt down as we get to that part of the season.
Coaching counts, no question about it in high school football, and he is one of the better ones. Speaking of one of the better ones, Chris Harlan doing the yeoman's work this preseason. Now he'll kick it into the regular season. Christopher, thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, Don.
All right, he'll be with me all year long. The halftime show is sponsored by CalU. Don't forget, after the game, scoreboard show, all the scores, recaps from week 1. Enjoy the second half of the game you are listening to here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
41-0 is your halftime score. The Gateway Gators on top of the Franklin Regional Panthers. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo on the call for you up here in the booth. Rick McIntyre down on the field. And Rick, you had a chance to talk to Gateway head coach Don Hall as he came out of the locker room.
I did. As the team came out, I grabbed him and I said, Coach, what do you tell this team, on day one, in the first halftime speech? You're up 41-0, almost a flawless first half. What do you tell the kids? And one of the phrases he likes to use here is called repping the G. And it's just representing Gateway, being professional, being a good sportsman. And every moment you're on that field, you're giving your all, and you're following the rules, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Thank you very much, Rick. And Vince, you know, as we took a look at that first half, like Rick said, pretty much flawless for the Gateway Gators, other than one big kickoff return for Franklin Regional and one decent offensive drive.
Yeah, and I really like what the coach had to say there. You know, this is, you know, a game that is pretty well in hand, but it's about focusing on those little things, focusing on the culture, and these things that we talked about in the first half that are bigger than sports really resonate with that.
Another big kickoff return for Franklin Regional's Brandon Zanato, but it may have been aided by some sort of penalty as a flag does fly, and this may push Franklin Regional back. The preliminary spot is at the 39, but once this ball is set, we will fall under the modified timekeeping system, which we will detail momentarily. Blindside block is the personal foul call against Franklin Regional, so that is going to push them back a good bit. They will start 1st and 10, but not nearly at that 39-yard line where they started from. And as I said, the modified timekeeping system underway because we are underway here in half number 2 with a 41-0 lead for the Gateway Gators.
1st down and 10 at the Panther.
So the ball is at the 15 for the Franklin Regional Panthers. And basically what that means is the clock's basically going to run unless there's a timeout, a score, or during a change of possession. Other than that, incomplete passes, ball out of bounds. Basically, the referees have the discretion to just keep that clock running. 2 receivers left, 1 wing to the near side right. Pitch to that right-hand side. The ball carrier is Colton Johns, and Johns is met near the line of scrimmage, picks up a yard or 2 before he is brought down by Shane Thrift. Also in on the stop, Derek Davis.
Gateway bringing that first-team defense back out. Wouldn't be surprised to see both the defense and the offense each get maybe one more series. And then from there, see if some of the younger guys start to get into the game.
2nd down and around 10 for Franklin Regional. Football just past the 15. A pump and then a go. And the pass is complete. Catching that football, Mario Sarnik, and Sarnik has enough for a Franklin Regional first down to pick up of 11 on the play.
Yeah, good job for the offensive line protecting there, giving a little bit of time. That was the most time they've had all night to sit back in the pocket and complete a pass. Blitz all night has been disrupting that passing game for the Panthers.
1st and 10 for Franklin Regional. Clock winding, about 10.5 minutes to play in the 3rd frame. Gateway up 41-0. Pass to the right-hand side is Brinsick. Finds the receiver out of the backfield, Brandon Zanato, and Zanato slides through tacklers and is brought down after a pickup of 4 at the 30-yard line.
Zanato hasn't had any big-time breakaway plays, but what I really admire about him is that he's fallen forward every time. He's finding those little windows. He's sneaking away from would-be tacklers. He's making the first person miss, and so he's making Gateway work to bring him down, even if he hasn't really had any big-time gains yet tonight.
Diego Bledsoe on the previous tackle. Big linebacker for the high school level, 5'10", 230 pounds. Franklin Regional facing a 2nd down and about 6 from the 30-yard line, rather. Stop in the backfield as the handoff went to Zanato. He had nowhere to go as Aiden Smith, the linebacker, knifed through traffic and made the stop. 5'11" junior on the stop for Gateway.
Yeah, he showed blitz all the way. You see him up there right around the line, and he was just completely unaccounted for by that offensive line and knifed right through. Good job diving at the ankles, and that one stopped before it really even got started.
They'll mark it at a loss of 1, bringing up 3rd down and 7. Ball still on the right hash at the 29-yard line. Franklin Regional with 2 receivers left, wing and a receiver to the short side right. Sidecar to the left-hand side of the quarterback, Brincic. Brincic pressured. He's wrapped. He's going to toss it out of there, but not before the whistle blows. And the aforementioned Diego Bledsoe, the big linebacker, makes the stop. The big sack and a loss on the play of 5 yards back to the 24, and the punt unit comes on for Franklin Regional.
Yeah, take another look. No time there. Good job bringing the pressure there on third down. Pocket collapses rather quickly, and Bledsoe just keeps them in his arms until they blow that whistle. I'm really surprised. One playmaker, one option they've had out on the field, the Panthers, they haven't looked at thus far tonight. Caden Smith, 6'4", one of the few guys they have out there where there are few receivers that actually has some size, but they haven't tried to go deep to him whatsoever and test those safeties.
Yeah, I think I only mentioned his name one time, maybe on Franklin Regional's first down, as the punt slides through the hands of the Gateway return man, Patrick Bodie. Franklin Regional is going to come down on top of the football right near the 36-yard line, and the Panthers come out of there with the rock, and a mistake by Gateway gives Franklin Regional a fresh set of downs and some new life inside of Gators territory.
Yeah, I just lost track of that one. You see at the last minute he tries to dive in desperation. Honestly, after losing it in the lights, might have been good for a Peter call and just trying to clear out of there and let the ball bounce. I mean, you never want to take that extra yardage, but obviously a turnover, even worse. And so now a little bit of life here for the Panthers as they'll get the ball on the right side of the field for their sake.
Trib Live Top 5, our Gateway Gators, number 2 in the Trib Live Top 5. Pine Richland, number 1. Peters Township, Upper St. Clair, and South Fayette out of the Southern Conference round out the top 5. So just one team from the Big East and one team from that Northern Conference in the top 5, but their numbers 1 and 2 respectively. Brincic looking to his left-hand side for Mario Sarnik, but the pass incomplete, and that brings up 2nd down and 10 for the Panthers.
Another miscommunication there. Looked like the ball was thrown just a little bit early before the receiver could get his eyes around towards the ball. Sarnik take another look. There's been a few of those tonight. Not uncommon for the first game of the season, especially when we've talked about this is a new offense, some new pieces for the Panthers, and doesn't help that Gateway's defense brings back a ton of starters and a ton of talent.
2nd down and 10 for Franklin Regional. Ball on the right hash as they'll crab a receiver to the right to bring 3 on that side of the field. And pass intended for Sarnik, incomplete again. And I talked about that motion, man, the crabbing tight end or H-back, Luke Repperman. He moved from left to right, and he just burst out of there, and he was free. And I think had quarterback Trevor Brincic seen him, it could have been a Franklin Regional touchdown.
Yeah, it almost looked like he threw it away or just missed that throw. He had a couple options there. I mean, even Sarnik was open there right towards the sticks. He gets that one completed. They at least get a 1st down and probably more.
Clock winding under 6 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter. Gateway 41, Franklin Regional 0. Brincic, straight drop back, has some time. Finds the H-back, Repperman. Enough for a Franklin Regional 1st down, a pickup of 11. And it is 1st and 10 for the Panthers with the ball at the Gators' 25-yard line.
Yeah, and finally going across the middle, testing the secondary a little bit. They find a soft spot there. Nice throw, nice catch, just enough. And good awareness then again to make sure knowing where the sticks are and making sure you're past it when you catch that ball so you already have that 1st down in hand.
2 receivers left, 2 to the short side right. Repperman, the motion man, crabs right, then goes back left, but the ball will be handed off up the gut instead. Brandon Zanato, the ball carrier, picks up about a yard before he is brought down by the defensive end, Hunter Dow, 6'2", 205-pound, long-armed junior D end. I'll tell you, this defensive line for the Gateway Gators is formidable, undoubtedly. Hunter Dow, the left defensive end. Up the middle, Kelvin Nelson. Jacques Taylor, he's the right defensive end. They sub liberally, including Patrick Bauman, who steps in, the 275-pound senior at the nose tackle spot. Ball's going to go to the ground again. It's Brandon Zanato running to the right-hand side, and Zanato inside of the 10 where he is finally shoved to the turf right around the 4-yard line. And a big pickup there for the Franklin Regional Panthers, and they threaten the end zone for the first time today.
There's that big gain that he's been waiting for. He's been having a solid evening. Talked about it earlier in this drive, continued to fall forward. This time he finally gets a nice hole, takes advantage of it. You see that speed there at the end. The eyes got a little bit bigger. He thought he was getting to pay dirt. Good job to keep him from getting into the end zone. But a nice gash there for the Panthers, who are in business for the first time tonight.
First and goal for Franklin Regional. Brinsick pressured, tosses it into the end zone. The pass is tipped, and then it is caught by the second Panther to touch the football. Catching it is Jeffrey Downs after it was initially tipped by another Franklin Regional Panther.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was Sarnick, or take another look, or if that was Smith who tipped it at first.
You see Brinsick, he's pressured, rolls to his right, escaping Jock Taylor, and then the throw to the end zone, and it was tipped and then ultimately caught, like I said, by Jeffrey Downs for the first TD of the game for Franklin Regional, and that cuts Gateway's lead down to 35. PAT upcoming by DeFalco, and if that is good, the lead down to 34 for the Gators. Good snap, good hold, the kick up. And that PAT is good, and with 3:34 to play here in quarter number 3, Gateway 41 and Franklin Regional cracking the scoreboard. The Panthers now with 7 points after being blanked through the first 24 minutes of football.
Got to feel good to get on the board. No, unless anything real crazy happens here, the Panthers playing for momentum and to take some things away and to practice this upcoming week and to future games this season. And so they've got to feel good, a little bit of pep in the step now. Now, a big test will be, can they stand up to the test on defense? Can the safeties keep from getting burnt deep over the middle? Can they keep Davis contained if they bring him back out here for this drive? All things they have to keep track of here on the other side of the ball.
Looking forward for Franklin Regional next week. They hit the road at Fox Chapel and at Bethel Park, 2 non-conference games for the Franklin Regional Panthers. Then they wrap up the regular season with 4 games in the Big East Conference. They host Connellsville, travel down the road to Turtle Creek to take on the Woodland Hills Wolverines. Then they host Latrobe and host Penn Trafford to wrap up this 2020 season, the regular season for Franklin Regional. And I say regular season because I think it's time, maybe, Vince, we talk about the playoffs, because there is a lot of questions about what's going to happen with the WPIAL playoffs. Will there be 8 teams? Will there be 4 teams? And a lot of it has to do with if the PIAA has their state playoff bracket.
Yeah, and we were talking offline, what if there are only 4 teams that make it? Obviously, you get your 3 section champions in there, but then it really becomes interesting on how that 4th team is selected. Obviously, they have Gardner points, but what if a couple teams miss a game because of a couple positive cases or this, that, the other? Could really become a really interesting case study on how they pick that final playoff team if there's only 4.
Short end-over-end kick caroms off of the hands of Jaden Hurt, and then it is covered up by another Gator at around the 20-yard line. And things getting a little sloppy for the Gateway Gators here as 2 special teams balls have slid through the hands of Gateway return men.
Yeah, you've got to keep the pedal to the metal at least with your discipline and your execution, because that's when one of 2 things happen. If you're not playing at full speed, you're not paying attention, you're either going to make a mistake or you're going to get hurt. And so a couple of mistakes here on special teams for the Gators. Now they're pinned back. One of their worst starting field positions of the night. They're only at their own, 21-yard line?
First possession of the second half for the Gateway Gators with 3:15 to play in the third quarter. Gators go to the air, and Anglique looking to his left-hand side, and I think he was looking for Hurt out of the left slot position, but a Panther broke on the pass and nearly intercepted it. Instead, it's just an incomplete pass, bringing up 2nd down and 10.
Again, got to be careful. This is a defense now that has a good bit of players there that were just on the offensive side of the ball, found a little bit of momentum scoring that touchdown. And again, it's one of those things where Gateway might feel like there's not a ton left to play for in this game, being up so big, but still got to execute.
Gators go to the ground. Derek Davis running to his left-hand side. He's strung out to the far boundary and forced across the far sideline by Nolan Cowart. Clock winding, 2:20 to play in the third quarter. As Gateway faces a third down and a half dozen. Ball on the left hash at the 25. Handoff, Davis again. Shows some strength as he breaks tackles, then shoves his way across the first down flag and further as he gets out across the 35 to the 36-yard line.
Yeah, such a strong combination of speed and size. As you look, he hits the hole hard, gets a little pull on the jersey there, keeps running through, and keeps those legs churning. A nice run there.
Gators quarterback, Engel K, gets swallowed up near the line of scrimmage, maybe a gain of a yard from where the ball is being spotted by the line judge over on the far side.
Engel K, stopped by the middle of the Franklin regional line. Second down.
Two receivers to the near side right. They'll also split a wing to the right, will the Gators. One receiver to the short side left. Panthers show blitz. Gators go to the air as the pass intended for Diego Bledsoe. Incomplete. And that'll bring up third down and 9.
Yeah, just a little too much on it there. They had some options, but you see for the first time tonight a little bit of pressure right there at the end. Still good protection, but that one just sailed on the quarterback a little bit. Tried to fling that one out to the flats.
It looked like Shamar Price was open coming from the right slot position, but maybe an Engel K's goal there to try to get the ball to Diego Bledsoe, spread the ball around, get that tight end H-back an opportunity to get his hands on the football with this big lead for the Gators. Just under 30 seconds to play here in the third quarter as Gateway goes to the air again. Engel K flushed out of the pocket, running to his right-hand side, directs traffic. He will dump it off to Diego Bledsoe. Bledsoe hit hard as he drives his way forward, carries it across the 40 to the 41-yard line.
You could hear the pop from those helmets all the way up here. Granted, not as much of a crowd here tonight. The sound's carrying a little bit more, but you could tell that was quite a big hit.
That's the end of the third quarter with the score.
So we have played 3 quarters of football here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, and the Gateway Gators lead the Franklin Regional Panthers by a score of 41-7. Adam Gusky and Vince Russo up here in the booth. Down on the field, it's Rick McIntyre. We'll take a breather. Back in a few seconds, it's Gateway football on NFHS in the Trib Live High School Sports Network.
Timeout. We can't get the clock running. Officials timeout.
So as you can hear the public address announcer, an issue with the clock here at Gateway High School. So we're going to have to take a pause until they get the issue with the clock worked out. And that'll give us an opportunity to talk a bit about what's coming up, both for the Gateway Gators and the Franklin Regional Panthers. And, of course, our focus is the Gateway Gators as they host Bethel Park here at Anna Marino Stadium next Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff, September 18th. The Gators take on Bethel Park in the first of 2 non-conference games for Gateway. They host Bethel Park next week, then hit the road to travel to Pine Richland the week following. Meanwhile, Franklin Regional, 2 games on the road to start the half.
Not working up in the press box. The officials will have to keep the time down on the field.
You may have heard that the officials are going to have to keep time down on the field as they can't get the clock working up here in the press box. So with the modified timekeeping system and the score as it is, it's not a huge deal.
Well, they've got it up on there now.
Oh, that's wonderful. We can see it there on our graphics system as well, as we are tied directly into that scoreboard.
It certainly makes life a little easier for us. Well, I've got some scores from around 5A if there's any interest. Pine Richland, the #1 ranked overall team, up 47 nothing over Fox Chapel. Some other notable scores: Upper St. Clair in the top 5. They're leading Bethel Park, the next opponent for Gateway, 21-7. Woodland Hills at the half was up 36-14 over Connellsville. Penn Trafford leads Latrobe 41-7. South Fayette playing an out-of-conference game in Ohio. They're up 42-7. North Allegheny and Penn Hills tied at 6 as of halftime. And Moon has just taken a 21-0 lead over West Allegheny.
Earlier we mentioned Pine Richland and the fact that they moved down from 6A to 5A, and they are the #1 team right now in the Trib Live top 5. But what's really notable, South Fayette moving up from Quad A to 5A, and they're in the top 5 as well. As Franklin Regional goes to the air on their first offensive play of this fourth quarter. Jeffrey Downs on the reception, and he is brought down, and I think he may have been brought down by his face mask inadvertently by Derek Davis, because the flag came in quickly, and Jeffrey Downs is slow to get to his feet, at least for the moment. Checked out by the athletic trainer for the Gateway Gators. And now will be helped over to that far sideline by a couple of teammates.
Not so sure that his leg might have twisted the wrong way going down on the turf, as obviously it's a somewhat of an issue with one of those legs. There's a couple teammates helping him off there. But a nice throw there by the halfback Zanato, who is subbed in and played a few plays at quarterback, but he gets the little sidecar shotgun toss here and then turns it into a pass downfield. So creative play call by the Panthers.
We have a pause for the injured player, Jeffrey Downs, to get off the field. The officials do request the clock be stopped. And I saw the flag come in, but I haven't seen the flag enforced yet. Oh, okay. Getting word from our technical crew in the next booth over, it was a sideline warning against Gateway. So you get that one freebie, and then after that, if an official collides with a coach or player on the boundary, it's a penalty. Gators go to the Panthers go to the ground as Trevor Brinsick wheels his way through traffic and is finally brought down by Davis.
Again, another situation where the Gators were thinking there was going to be a toss there, and they forgot to wrap the quarterback up and simply let him continue to motor down the middle. That's happened a few times thus far tonight, where the Gators were in position right away, but then sort of just let the cat out of the bag, so to speak.
Two receivers left, two to the near side right, one a short H-back who now crabs from right to left, and reprimand. Pitch to the left-hand side. Colton Johns, the ball carrier for Franklin Regional. Initially met in the backfield, but slides his way back to the line of scrimmage, but no further.
Let's see if they set up a passing play here. One thing worth noting, looking down on the sidelines, senior Shane Thrift on the sidelines getting stretched out a little bit of cramping it looks like. So down one of their starting DBs, say if they look to go that way and maybe try and put a feeler out towards the end zone or close to it, ball to 28.
Trips right, one receiver left for the Franklin Regional Panthers. Brinsick takes the shotgun snap, pumps, then throws to that right-hand side, and he will find reprimand, the tight end who came out, sprung loose, and then paid the price after catching the football. Hit hard by Bonzi Parks, and reprimand is slow to get to his feet and now will get up, but may have to go to the boundary because the officials asked for the stoppage.
Yeah, he took a nice wallop to the chest there. Anytime that happens, you lose your breath for a second or two. Looks like he's fine now, but great job to hang on to that ball. He sees the hits coming, takes the hit, goes to the ground, remains in possession of the ball, and that's a big grab to be able to move the chains there for the Panthers.
One receiver to the near side right. Two stacked to the far boundary left. 1st and 10 for Franklin Regional. The Panthers go to the ground. Ball carrier Zanato bouncing off of tacklers and is finally brought down at around the 10-yard line.
I don't know if it's fatigue or sort of checking out mentally with the score, but the tackling just hasn't been there for the Gators here in the second half, and it's allowed Franklin Regional to execute, to pull away from a few would-be tacklers. Just as you said earlier, Adam, a little sloppy here in the second half.
So 2nd down here for the Franklin Regional Panthers. Ball inside of the 10 at the 9. The line to gain is the 6. So it's 2nd and 3 for Franklin Regional. Yo-yo motion. Gateway, or rather Franklin Regional goes to the ground. Gateway making the tackle very quickly, but a modest gain on the play. As the ball carrier Zanato is brought down. And Vince, you talked about the difference between the Gators in the first and second half. We're going to send it down the field. Rick McIntyre, what do you see the differences are between the Gators of the first 24 minutes and here in half number 2?
I almost think you're going to see another version of them right now. They came out a little bit lax, a little bit sloppy here in the first couple series. I've been listening to Coach Hall gently persuade them to pick it up a little bit. And I think that hit right here the last play or two ago really got some momentum on the sidelines. There was a lot of excitement when that hit came to the side of the field. And that kid did a fantastic job keeping his discipline, getting his head out of the way, and not going helmet to helmet.
Thank you, Rick. 4th down and 1 for Franklin Regional after the incomplete pass on 3rd and 1 intended for Patrick McMillan. '27th year as the head coach of the Franklin Regional Panthers, Greg Botta, on the far sideline. His team facing a 4th down and 1 inside of the Gators 10 at around the 7. Pistol formation. Brinsick, the ball carrier. Looks like he may be stopped shy of the line to gain.
Brinsick, the ball carrier.
We'll wait for the official to make the signal, and it is a turnover on downs for Gateway. The 2nd time today that Franklin Regional is forced to turn the ball over on downs inside of Franklin Regional territory. Rather, Gateway territory.
Number 13, Dallas Harper at quarterback for the Gators.
Gateway bringing some substitutes in here.
Harper.
As Dallas Harper,
Right tackle.
sophomore quarterback, takes the ball himself.
Stop by 26.
Time wanes here down to half of the 4th quarter remaining.
Unsurprisingly, at this point in the game, you start to get some of those underclassmen in, get them a few reps, test some of that depth out a little bit, see who might be able to make some plays and step into the fold later in the season should you need that depth.
Trips to the left, one receiver to the far side right. Sidecar to the left-hand side of reserve quarterback Dallas Harper. False start against the Gateway Gators. And that's going to move them back from 2nd down and 7 to a much less manageable 2nd down and about 2.
Be interesting for the Gators next week playing Bethel Park. Certainly a formidable opponent, but see if they overlook a little bit. Tendency might be to look at that Pine Richland game in a few weeks and get excited for that, a potential 1 versus 2 matchup in the rankings as it would be right now.
Kind of that trap game scenario is Dallas Harper, the ball carrier, running to his right after an errant shotgun snap. Can't wiggle free, and maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no further, bringing up 3rd down and 8. And getting back to that trap game scenario, you start the season, you've got a conference game, you've got those jitters of starting your 2020 season 3 weeks late. Next week, Bethel Park, and then, like you said, that potential 1 versus 2 matchup non-conference road game for Gateway in week number 3.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one, and even I'm sitting here excited about it now. But we do have that Bethel Park game next week, and those two teams, Gateway and Bethel Park, played a close one last year. That is not an easy contest. It's not a gimme, so they'll have to make sure they're buckled up and ready for that one.
Gateway going to the ground here. Reserve tailback gets to the line of scrimmage, then driven back by Andrew Nessler.
This will be interesting here. First time we've seen the punt team tonight for the Gators. They have not worked this unit out yet this season in game action. So see what that produces here. Pinned back, an awfully odd circumstance for your first punt of the season. You're pinned back in your own end zone. You got to make sure to execute.
Looks like the Gators going to bring out their full punt unit, but a timeout is called for by the Franklin Regional Panthers, which will stop the clock with 3:40 to play in quarter number 4.
At least you have Jason Jenkins out there, the senior, who's done an admirable job on the kickoff unit, is executed for the most part in the PAT department other than having one blocked. But again, Gateway, you got to mention, this is a team, this first game of the season's pushed back. You did exactly what you wanted to do tonight. You left no doubt early on. You put up 28 in the first quarter. You took care of business in a game where, if you get off on the wrong foot, a team can catch you sleeping in week 1. A lot of credit to Coach Hall and this group for coming out, being super focused in the first half, and putting that game away really before the clock hit halftime.
The clock starts winding again after the Franklin Regional timeout. Jason Jenkins set to boot this one away. Personal protectors Diego Bledsoe and big Jacques Taylor in front of him, as well as the nose tackle Kelvin Nelson. I'll tell you, I'd like to be in Jason Jenkins' shoes with those kind of guys protecting me.
Yeah, not too bad. Nice bounce there. It'll die out close to the 50-yard line, so that one hung up a bit but took a pretty favorable bounce all in all for the first punt of the season.
First down for the Panthers.
So it'll be 1st and 10 for Franklin Regional, and I think for the first time today, the Panthers start inside of Gateway territory. All their other drives have been inside of their own greenery.
Yeah, they got close on that opening kickoff return after the initial Gateway score, but since then, it's been pretty tough sledding as far as starting field position. They're bringing that first offense back out. Looks like there's a good bit of second stringers on the defensive side.
Franklin Regional goes to the ground as the ball carrier Zanato picks up first down yardage.
Zanato hopefully
Donato, the ball
carries his
carrier.
momentum moving forward into the season. He'll gain some sort of garbage time numbers here, pad the stats a little bit.
That's good enough for a Panther first
He
down.
moves the chains there for the first down run. Again, surprised they don't go over to 26 there on the far side. Look at that height advantage.
41-7 your score. Just under 2 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Gateway on top of the Franklin Regional Panthers. Panthers go to the air as the ball carried inside of the 20 to around the 19-yard line.
Flag on the play.
That flag in the backfield.
And that's going to negate a big play for Franklin Regional. Would have set them up inside of the red zone, but instead, Franklin Regional going to be pushed back. And at the high school level, that comes from where the ball is,
Holding
where the
against the Panthers.
penalty happened, 10 yards from there. And according to the referee, the holding happened at the 45-yard line. So the ball's going to be moved back to the Franklin Regional 45, with a line to gain being the Gateway 26-yard line.
Yeah, that one stings a little bit if you're the Panthers, for sure. A huge break there for the Gators is likely, a flag thrown at the 45. That hold was likely well behind the play, and it was thrown on the near side of the field from where we are. The play was on the other side of the field, so a silly penalty there that negates a really huge gain there for the Panthers.
Feigning the pitch. Quarterback Trevor Brinsick.
Stopped by
Brinsick carrying the ball into Gators territory
number 10,
and brought down at the
Bakari L.
44-yard line.
Looked like the lights flickered for a second.
And I think one of the LED bulbs may have gone out over there on the far side of the field. I'm getting reports that the whole sky lit up, so it may have been a transformer nearby that blew. And it's Brinsick again, the ball carrier.
Stopped by L.
So, Rick, you said the entire sky lit up blue, so it's either a transformer nearby that blew, or maybe it was like a Men in Black situation where we're all going to forget we were at this football game tonight.
Sorry about that. I might drop my headset getting up there, but yeah, just right there, the quiet moment. There was no sound with it, but it looked like a fireworks show going off over the tree line over there, and got the attention of most of the team.
That's certainly an interesting development here in Monroeville. And hopefully everything is all right. And no big power outages here in the eastern suburbs or anything like that.
Well, as most people have said, 2020, you can't really count anything out at this point.
This has been the craziest year in my 41 on God's green earth. That is for sure. Well, Vince, there's 30 seconds to play here in this football game. Obviously, this one well in the bag for the Gateway Gators. But as we look forward to next week, we've already talked about it, kind of a trap game situation for Gateway against Bethel Park. But you've got to assume a second home game in a row helps keep that motivation with Gateway.
Certainly, yeah. More time to be at your home stadium, to prep, to be prepared. You don't have to get on that long bus ride. Certainly easier to get that team and get those guys ready to produce and ready to execute.
Brinsick's pass complete to Sarnick as a lot of reserve defenders going against the first-team Franklin Regional offense. Sarnick forced out of bounds inside of the 20 at the 17-yard.
First down.
And that will likely be it. Again, with the running clock, doesn't really matter. Although now they're going to stop the clock, looks like.
Yeah, Franklin Regional used their final timeout. They want to get an opportunity here to run some more offensive plays here. Makes a lot of sense. With 2 seconds to go here, at least attempt some sort of fade pattern, something like that. An opportunity to get better for weeks to come.
And situational football. You're in the red zone. You've got an opportunity to execute. You've got a chance to do that. And, this season, as opposed to other seasons, I kind of don't mind so much that they're doing something like this, even with the game out of hand, because you only have 7 games this year. That's only 7 opportunities for these seniors, for these underclassmen to get out there, to play the game of football, to have these memories. And so why not? Why not take one more shot at the end zone? Definitely can understand what they're doing here with 2 seconds left.
1st and 10 for Franklin Regional. Clock winds. Panthers get the snap off, and they will throw to that far side left, intended for Colton Johns, and that'll do it. The Gateway Gators 1-0. Franklin Regional 0-1 as Gateway wins 41-7.
A really feel-good performance for the home team tonight. You come out, you execute early. You've been waiting a little longer for this one, and you come out and you execute.
Have a safe drive home.
Well, this has absolutely been the strangest lid lifter to a football season in my 20-plus years of covering football, almost, maybe close to 25 years now. And while we won't have an official handshake after the game, the two teams will acknowledge each other. And I think that's about as sportsmanlike as you can get. And really, I just think it's great to see these young men get out there and get some normalcy in their lives, play some football, do what they've been doing their whole lives.
It goes even further than that. Certainly the game is first and foremost about these young men, and as we said earlier, the development, the maturation that comes along with it. But here in Western Pennsylvania, we all know that high school football is ingrained into these communities. It's a bedrock of these communities, and so for that to be able to happen in a year where a lot of people have been shut in, and the fact that they're able to sit here and watch it, it really means something more this year on a lot of different levels.
Well, that should do it for our coverage of the Gateway Gators today as they defeat the Franklin Regional Panthers by a final score of 41-7. We thank you for joining us here, and we really got to thank our crew who made today happen. A lot of hard work in a very, very truncated period of time. Our director and co-executive producer, Larry George, as well as our team of camera operators and co-engineers, and Lee Schaefer III and Joe Slick. Eric Schuley next door running the graphics for us. Of course, Vince joining me here in the booth today. Rick down on the field. We've got to thank the great folks here at Gateway as well. Without Mike O'Brown and without the help of the facilities folks, we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, a huge thank you to everyone here at Gateway who has welcomed us with open arms for this first game of the season. And kudos to you and the guys that were here until what I hear was 1 a.m. last night, making sure everything was set up and ready to go. A lot of people don't understand a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that makes this, as we call it, TV magic happen. So kudos to you, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing radio every morning this week from 4:30 a.m. till noon, and then I was here till 1 o'clock last night. But like I said, we had a truncated period of time. We weren't official here at Gateway until this past Tuesday night, but our entire crew made it happen. Thanks for recognizing me, but I can't thank everybody that works with us enough.
Absolutely.
Again, that'll do it for us here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Next week, the Gateway Gators take on the Bethel Park Blackhawks in a non-conference matchup, while Franklin Regional will travel to take on the Fox Chapel Foxes. Again, your final score today, Gateway 41, Franklin Regional 7. For Vince Russo and our entire crew, I'm Adam Gusky. We'll talk to you again next Friday night.